Hello, I'm Greg with Primal Rights. As most of you know, when you get off of a square range and you get out there and start shooting in the world, you find that getting in the prone position can be really difficult. The terrain, especially in the summertime and the grass and weeds growing up all over the place, it's very difficult to find a spot where you're going to engage a target from your belly, from the prone position. When that instance arises, you have to find some support. Well, why not bring the support with you? Today we're going to take a look at tripod systems, specifically tripod systems from Really Right Stuff. Now, there's a lot to a name, and in this case, there definitely is a lot to the name. Really Right Stuff is a 100% American-based company, and they're producing carbon fiber tripod systems, and of course, all the ball heads and fluid heads and attachment methods that go along with having a full-fledged tripod system. So today we're going to take a look at a couple of models of their tripod. I'll take you through each of the features step by step, do a little shooting off of them, and just introduce you guys to the Really Right Stuff products. Now, we're not going to spend a lot of time on technique and things like that. We'll potentially do some of that in another video. I know Frank Galley from Sniper Side has got a couple of good videos out there about using tripods. Seems like everybody's got a little different way that they like to use them. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on technique today. We're just going to take a look specifically at the products here from Really Right Stuff. The two models that I'm going to be working with today are the TVC 33 tripod legs and a 55 ball head. They call this the BH55. And this model here, I've got the quick detach setup on it with the HOG Saddle on top. The second set I'm going to take a look at over here to my left is the TVC 23 with the BH40 ball head. And of course I've got the HOG Saddle strapped to the top of that one as well. Now just looking at the two here, you can tell that there's some differences. The 3 Series is bigger and beefier, so it has a thicker leg diameter, and everything on it is just slightly larger than the 2 Series. Now the way that the Really Right Stuff numbers work, so their product numbers, they're laid out very logically. A lot of camera equipment, when shooters start looking at this stuff to try to find a good tripod setup, it's kind of confusing. Really Right Stuff, being an American company, they're very logical in the way they have things laid out. So the 3 Series here is obviously larger than the 2 Series. They also have a 4 Series, which is even bigger still. Now, they have several different configurations here with the leg setup. This being a TVC 33, these legs being a TVC 23. If you added a leg extension, then you could have a 34 or a 24. This particular models being 33 and 23 means that they are a 2 Series with 3 leg extensions and a 3 Series with 3 leg extensions. If those were 24 or 34, then it would be 4 leg extensions, which basically just means the tripod will reach a little taller. Now, as a shooter, it's very rare that we're going to need a tripod that's taller than we are. In some situations, if you're on an elevated platform and you really need confined space and whatnot, and you need that front support, I could see where that could come in handy to some degree, but it's very rare that you'll run into that. So I find that for weight savings, the 3 designation, so 3 leg extensions, is more than enough in terms of height. And then 2, when you add all that extra hardware, you'll be adding weight. So I went with the 33s and 23 over here just to save on weight and knowing that it would be tall enough for me to do just about anything that I would want to do with it. We'll take a look at the individual tripod legs as well as the ball heads that are associated here so you can get an idea of the size difference and the capabilities of each of them. Just know that going forward that the 33 is the bigger of the two, 23 is the smaller of the two, and obviously the amount of weight that they can support is going to be dependent upon how big they are. Both of them are very adequate and capable in terms of that, but the 33 is substantially bigger and of course substantially heavier. The way that the legs are deployed on this TVC 23 is exactly like the mechanism that's on the rest of their tripods, the 33 and the 40, the 33 series and the 4 series. The way it works is you've got this little slider that pops out. So obviously you've got this machined lip right here on the tripod top here itself, and that little slider, the very top of it here,
hits that machined lip, and that's as far as it'll come out. So if you want to splay the tripod out more, you can just slide this little slider out, and then when it reaches its top position, it will auto deploy and lock in place in the top position. And if you push the leg down, it will click into the next slot right beneath it until it's in the bottom one. Now you can hear that there's some clicking taking place there, right? Now, competing tripods, I've had just a terrible time with having those things be quiet when deploying the legs. I do not have that problem with the Really Right Stuff tripods, and here's why. You can ride this little clicker mechanism with your fingers, so you can have access to it behind the legs. You can see on this one back here, there's that little lever right behind the legs. So you can access that and push it out, which means that you can guide it with your fingers for dead silent operation. So if you want to lift the tripod up and you're in the field, say you're coyote hunting or something like that, and you do not want to make any noise whatsoever, but you need to get the legs splayed out more from the standard first position, you would just move the leg down a little bit to give it some room to travel, ride that out, lift it up to the next notch, and then ride it shut. And there you'll be in your next notch. I've never had these tripods squeak or make any undesirable noises. They have some type of a bushing in between here. It looks like a copper or a bronze bushing or something like that to separate the outer leg from the top of the tripod itself. And they're very quiet and very, very smooth. So you won't have any noises going on that you don't want. The legs on the Really Right Stuff tripods are also extremely quiet in their operation, far more so than any of the clamp style mechanisms that you'd find on other brands of tripods. Most of them have a lever, so you'd flip up the lever, and that lever mechanism has always been the source of some undesirable noises and creaks when I'm out in the field. So not very good. Starting at the bottom here, the RRS tripods have these really nice soft rubber feet. Now they're not so soft that they'll get tore up, but they're soft enough to where they will absorb a lot of vibration and grip onto solid surfaces that you might be shooting off of. So either rocks or concrete or whatever you might find yourself shooting off of, these will grip into it pretty nice. Now they are replaceable, so you just unscrew the bottoms here, and the bottoms of the feet come right off. So there's different feet available. There's different spike kits and things that you can get for these. And so you can have the most desirable foot on the tripod that you would want. The way that the legs extend are a really nicely done twist lock system. So what you do is just grab a hold of one of these knurled rings here, and they're kind of rubberized. Again, it's not super soft, but not super hard either. Kind of reminds me of the feet on an Atlas bipod. So it's just the right amount of stiffness. You just grab a hold of one of these knurled rings here and twist it. So I just unscrewed that just a little tiny bit, and like literally that's all that's required. And then the leg will pull right out. Now you can hear it kind of scratches a little bit. You can hear that sliding noise. It is very quiet and manageable, especially if you do it slow. So if you're in a deer hunting situation or coyotes or something like that, chances are you made a lot more noise coming into the set than you would make deploying these legs. So they are very quiet, and they're very positive locking, and it doesn't take a lot of force to do it. So if you just tighten that up with my fingers, there's no way that I can pull this thing out of there. I mean, it is just absolutely in there. Same thing for if I deploy the leg and tighten that up. There is no way that I can get that thing pushed back in there. I must unlock it, and just a little tiny, eighth of a turn or something is all it takes to lock and unlock these legs. So very high quality setup, and clearly this is the model, the 23, so there's only three leg extensions. So we've got the main one here, and then I unlock this top ring, another one pops out, I unlock the bottom ring here, and I've got another leg extension there. Now, how many of these little knurled couplers that you have on here, how many of these you have per tripod, depends on which model you order. Obviously, the ones with 4 legs, leg extensions will have another knuckle like this, and they start from biggest to smallest. So if there was one in between here, it would be the appropriate size, so you'd be able to feel it in the dark. If you were doing it in the dark, you would know exactly which one you're grabbing. Obviously, if you're shooting and you want the most stability, you're going to want the largest legs extended first. So when I'm extending the tripod, I always start at the top and work my way down. All the RRS tripods will have a little leveling bubble in the top here, which is a very, very nice feature. When you're setting up your tripod, you want to be as level as possible to ensure that when you're panning and tilting, you're going to be able to get the best operation possible. So a nice little feature here that in the machined top of the tripod legs, there's always going to be a little bubble level so you can get a really nice, fast leveling job on the legs. You'll notice at the top of the tripod here, there's these set screws. There's 3 of them, one here, and one right here. Those control the center portion. So the tripod top here actually encloses the center portion, which in the bottom here, you can see there's like a little hook for storage. You can hang some weight off of there, or in shooting, it's really nice to be able to hook a D-loop onto your belt and then a strap, and then you hook another D-loop right through this little hole here and anchor yourself to the tripod. So that's a pretty nice feature. Anyhow, let's take a look at the controls on the BH40. That's the ball head, model 40. This is probably my favorite ball head that I've ever used for shooting. I mean, it is just the most versatile, yet it's lightweight but mega strong. I just absolutely love this thing, especially in combination with the HOG Saddle here. So the way that the controls work is you've got this little knob on the bottom here, which is what allows you to index where the head is pointing. So with that, you can line up where the head is pointing in relation to the legs. So I always like my ball head pointed so that I have one leg forward and 2 legs to the rear. So I want the rifle lined up perfectly with the front leg on the tripod. So once you get that oriented how you want it, you just turn that knob, and you don't need much force on there at all, and it'll lock that thing in real solid in terms of how the thing pans and tilts. Now, you can lock this in, or you can just use this to tension whether or not it will move. Now, you don't need to put much force on this thing at all. I'm talking, you go from right here, and it moves, to right there, and it's all of a sudden very difficult to move. So when you crank it on like that, just a little bit, I mean, it is very hard to get the thing to move. Like, I can't even get it to move with my hands. So the controls are extremely precise. These aren't some cheap little plastic controls you'd find on competing tripods or ball heads. These things are incredibly precise, and they work very, very well. So if you want to pan around a little bit easier, you can use that adjustment there to fine-tune how easy it is for you to pan around. Now this top one is the tensioner for the ball. This left lever is the lock for the ball. So with the ball completely unlocked, there's still tension there. It won't just flop and fall forward. Now if I remove some tension, well, eventually it'll just fall, and there'll be no tension on the ball whatsoever. It can spin around and do whatever. Now, I like to run a little tension on there because it's just easier to control. So tighten that thing up a little bit, and it'll make it so that the head will be more controllable. The rifle will be more controllable. So how much tension you want on there is completely up to you. Obviously, you don't want to put so much tension that you're violating your natural point of aim. So, you want to just play with that setting and see how it works with the weight of the rifle that you have in there. So once you get the tension that you want set up, now let's move on to the locking lever here. Now you can see that for a right-handed shooter, this is pretty desirable. I can have the locking lever over here. I can grab one of the tripod legs with my hand, and then I can run the lock lever with my thumb. Now that is just an absolutely incredible feature, and it saves so much time when you're positioning your rifle, because you can have just a slight little bit of tension on there and the ball will still move slightly. You don't need much tension, and it will lock that ball in and be almost immovable. If you put a bunch of tension on it, then it is locked in there. I don't care if you jump up and down on that ball head, it's not moving anywhere. So you can play with how this is set up. The beauty of it is that this locking lever is indexable. So you just pull it out and there's a spring tension that will keep it in there. So if it's not in the correct position for you, you just pull it out and retime it somewhere else. Now, really another nice thing about how this lever is set up on the BH40 is when you're using this in conjunction with a HOG saddle, that means all of your controls are right here on the left side of your platform. So when you go to clamp your rifle in, you just lay your rifle in here, give a couple of quick turns on that, and then you are free to manipulate the ball head. That is an extraordinarily convenient setup. I mean, saves so much time when you're getting in position. I can't stress enough just how awesome that is. Okay, so I got my Desert Tech SRS A1 with a TS Custom 6.5 Creedmoor barrel in it. And I'm going to throw this on the HOG saddle, get it clamped in there on this RRS TVC 23 leg with BH40 ball head combo. And I've got a 6-inch plate hanging down there at 200 yards. So this isn't meant to be a marksmanship exhibition, but it should show you just how easy it is to get set up on a set of these legs and engage a target. So there's 5 shots just like that on a 6-inch target at 200 yards. Now it's not like that's a tiny target or anything like that, but to be able to rock and roll on it like that from a standing position, I don't know of anything else out there besides a tripod that will allow you to do that with such ease. I mean, that was nothing. I could have gone a little faster if I'd pushed myself. So you're not restricted to finding something in the world to rest your rifle on anymore. You can take this with you anywhere you go and set it up anywhere you go. So when you grab a HOG saddle with its nice soft rubber interface, keeps that harmonic vibration out of your ground set, whatever you're using, and attach that to a ball head of some kind, which allows you to independently pivot and level up on uneven terrain and shoot up and down as high or as low as you would ever want to, you are pressed into an entirely different operational mode. Like, you're no longer restricted by where you have to set up your shot. So by taking something like this with you, I just can't overstate just how free you are as a precision rifle shooter. You'll notice on here that I have the HOG saddle on here in a slightly different orientation. I've got the knob over here on the right side as opposed to on the left side. Now, clearly this is kind of personal preference. You can run it however you want, but with this particular setup, the BH55, I have a quick detach plate setup on here. Obviously this is a really right stuff part. So this quick detach plate system has a very nice lever that is used to set the tension and pop this thing on and off here, as well as move it back and forth. When I clamp this thing in here, it has to be at the forward position, and then I can go to the next position and it'll slide front and back, but will not actually fall out of the head. So you can independently move that thing front to back depending on how you want your rifle to be set up in the saddle. So that's a pretty cool feature, and then depending on how you have it, you can run the saddle on either side. Now, how I have it, if you center it up over the center of the ball head, you can't put it on this side because this locking lever will get in the way of the rotating screw over here. So your handle for tightening and loosening your rifle clamp will obviously not work because that is there. So if we loosen that up just to the first notch and we run it back here and then clamp it in, then I can have my HOG saddle function on that side again. But in order to do that, obviously I don't have full engagement on my quick detach clamp. Now again, I don't know how you would ever break this thing in that condition. I really have no idea. But there are some considerations to be made there as far as how you set this thing up with the quick detach. You do not have to get the BH55 with the quick detach plate. You can screw the HOG saddle down directly onto the top of the ball head if that's what you desire. So this is not like you must have it set up this way. This is just one option on how you can set it up. If you want to run a nice heavy duty quick detach setup, you can do that. Now the same with it works all the way to the rear. If you slide it forward just a little bit, I'm going to turn this sideways so you can see here. If you slide it forward just a little bit and then clamp it down, well, you can get that to work as well. Obviously the lever is kind of in the way, but if you do want your controls on the left side, you can certainly get that done. There's just some considerations to be made for it. Now clearly you can loosen the screw that's holding the HOG saddle onto the plate here and slide it back, but then you're going to run into that exact same issue. So one way or another, you're going to have to concede one point or the next if you want to use a quick detach setup with the HOG saddle. Now, if you flip it to the other side, then you don't have any of those issues. But then, too, if you're used to your controls being on the left, well, that's not going to be optimal either. So it's completely up to you how you want it to get set up. Clearly, the options are almost limitless. The knob over here, rather than the lever, I'm not sure if I like that as much as I like the lever. Now, having said that, you still can run this with your thumb. It's just a little harder to do. And if you want to get it just locked in real tight, you've got to take your hand, grasp the knob, and turn it. Now, I don't know that that's such a big deal either. The trade-off, I think, is going to have more to do with the size of your weapon system than it has the configuration of the controls and everything that you've got in this setup here. So if a guy's got like, you know, a 30 or 40 pound 50 BMG, well, I would go with this set of 33 legs and the BH55 head as opposed to the 23 with the BH40 head, just simply because this setup is designed to handle very large weight on top of the ball as opposed to the BH40. All the specs for this stuff is listed on the RRS website, so I'd encourage you to check that out. I'm not going to waste a lot of your time here regurgitating specs on how much load it can carry and so forth. The only thing I can tell you is that once you get a rifle clamped into these things, either model, it's very difficult to find a shortcoming with how these things are set up. They operate extremely smooth where they're supposed to and very precise. So you can set them up and get a shot regardless of what type of terrain you're in or what kind of rifle you have. In conjunction with the HOG saddle, I can't think of a better way to set up for a non-prone field shot. Now you may have noticed that these tripods do not have a center column that goes up and down. That allows you to get a true ground set. So if you need to, you can get low with these things. So here I am in the prone position, and the weight of the rifle is not supported by the center anywhere. So that little hook is about, I don't know, a couple inches off the ground, not even. But yet I'm still able to get a nice low position on this thing. So that is absolutely incredible for a tripod in terms of versatility. I can shoot this thing in any way that I want.
Tripods are typically viewed as a tool for an actual sniper. And while it is true that snipers get a tremendous amount of use from their tripod, civilians can use them just as well. Now, in the last several years here, my shooting ability has gone up greatly just because of what the tripod will allow me to do. Now, this Really Right Stuff 3 Series tripod here with the ball head and the quick adjust and quick detach mount on the top here, combined with the HOG saddle, you can use this to support just about anything. Right now I've got a set of Swarovski EL range binoculars in here, and I just clamped one side lightly with the HOG saddle. It gives me a perfect optical viewing platform to get the maximum effective range out of my rangefinder, and also just a stress-free viewing situation with my binoculars. So
if you've ever used binoculars or any optical device in that manner where you've got a really nice solid tripod or a really nice solid position, you know that it will greatly enhance the ability of the rangefinder to get an accurate range at greater distances, and also just it gives you a better view and a clearer view of everything that you're looking at downrange. So tripods, they are very versatile tools, far outside of just supporting your rifle for a shot, which they do better than just about anything else out there, and obviously are more versatile than anything else out there.
I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Obviously, there is more to shooting off a tripod as far as technique and how you do it and why you do it than I can possibly pack into a single review video. But I just wanted to give you guys a chance to take a look, an up-close look at the Really Right Stuff hardware, so you can get acclimated with how their mechanisms work and whether or not they might be right for you. I would encourage you to try them. Call Really Right Stuff directly, or just log on to their website to order their stuff. And any product questions, obviously their staff is supremely helpful, so they will lay it out for you. Now, if you have any questions for me directly, just go ahead and send me an email, give me a call at the Primal Rights line, whatever, and I will answer whatever questions that I can for you. I can tell you that Really Right Stuff is going to be the tripods that I use from here on out. I've used a lot of competing models in the past, and there just has never been anything that truly made me happy. Now, after having a chance to use a couple of these, I can't imagine even looking at anything else from here on out. It's an American company with outstanding support, very easy to order using their website, or call them up and place the order over the phone. I don't know what more a guy could ask for, and as far as actually shooting off of it, it is just sent from heaven on the wings of angels. I mean, these tripods are going to do anything that any shooter would ask them to do.